These are the 6K angles notes. For a review, question 1 says, use the protractor to find the measure of angle BAD. Whenever you're trying to find the measure of an angle, you're going to trace over by going in the same order of the letters. So BAD would be this angle in here. And if you read what the protractor says, we can tell it's an acute angle. It has to be less than 90. So it can't be these numbers up here. It has to be the ones down here, which means we have an angle with a measure of 30 degrees. Question 2 says use the protractor to find the measure of FAE. So we'll trace over again. Here's FAE, which would be this entire angle. So we can really just ignore these two lines, M and N. FAE is clearly bigger than 90 degrees, which means it's going to be one of the numbers on the top. The measure of FAE is 130 degrees. Question 3 says to identify the following angles as straight, acute, obtuse, or right. This angle right here is a right angle. The way we know that is that it makes a perpendicular angle. It's 90 degrees. This angle here is obtuse. That means that it's more than 90 degrees. This one is acute. It's less than 90 degrees. And finally, this angle here is a straight angle. It's 180 degrees and makes a straight line. Turn to the next page. It says, on the map below, label a straight angle, an acute angle, an obtuse angle, and a right angle. Take a few minutes to label those angles on the map. Then press play to check your answers. Here's just one example of what you could have done. We can see that this intersection here forms an obtuse angle because it's bigger than 90 degrees. If we go to the other side of Anderson Ferry and Delhi, we have an acute angle, less than 90 degrees. We can see an intersection right here that creates a right angle. And finally, there's a straight angle if you just look at this part of Anderson Ferry, making a straight line. You can also have other examples on the map. Those are just some. Now let's review a few more angle vocabulary terms. Two or more angles that add up to 90 degrees are called complementary angles. If you have two or more angles that add up to 180 degrees, those are called supplementary angles. One way that you can remember this when you're trying to determine the difference between complementary and supplementary is complementary comes earlier in the alphabet, so it's going to have a smaller number, and supplementary comes later in the alphabet, so it has a larger number. Two angles that are next to each other are called adjacent. The word adjacent means next to. If you look at this example here, it actually means that they share a common side. These are not examples of adjacent angles, so it doesn't mean they're just next to each other anywhere. They have to actually share a side, and they're right up against each other. Finally, angles that are opposite each other when two lines cross, like this, so they're right across from each other diagonally, they are always congruent. They're called vertical angles. They will always have the same measurement. So if you know one vertical angle, you'll know the other measurement. Use the information from these notes to help you with 6L.